Presented by Prize Picks. $100 match on your first deposit. Welcome to Light Years. I got a special guest today. Excited about this one. Low-key, one of my favorite pods I listen to is the Pick A Side podcast. And I had to get River up here, who's a co-host on there and number one defender of Steph Curry on the show. Is that a fair characterization? Like, I don't even want to go into Joel and like his thoughts on things. Just always hating on the Warriors, but yeah, man, appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I definitely tune into you guys because you're one of the few Warriors podcasts out there. I am undoubtedly the Steph defender because I just feel like those guys don't watch this, man. I hate that for them. I really do. We actually just had an argument about Steph. I want to say a month ago. It was about Tatum being better than Steph, and I lost it. I think I threw a fit and I just had an aneurysm. I'm just like, there's just no way. But happy to be here. Happy to talk about the Warriors. Tough year, but we'll bounce back eventually, hopefully soon.
They better. That's all I'm gonna say. No, actually, that's a perfect segue. So I like to get different people's opinions because the general sentiment around the Warriors is people are torn. 50% of people are like, look, man, Steph's still that guy. They make some tweaks. They bring in another high-level player. They could be right back in the mix. A lot of parity around the league. They won a title just 2 years ago. They're not that far off. And there's another segment of people are like, bro, you're like that guy who's at last call at the bar. It's over. You don't want to leave. Like, just rebuild time, that sort of thing. So I guess my question for you is, where's your head at with the Warriors? Are they done, or is there a chance for them still?
That's probably the most interesting question in the league because I feel like every team, well, most teams in the league, like, for example, we're just specifically talking about the West, right? The Rockets have a direction,
Sure.
OKC has a direction. Even Minnesota has a direction. A lot of these older teams, even like the Clippers and the Suns, there's a direction. Unfortunately, the teams are just not good enough. With us, we're in like this peculiar place where we feel like Steph is still – like if you watched all year and you've seen the difference between him in the beginning of the year, him in the end, for me, it felt like just fatigue and him having to carry because Draymond did some stuff that he shouldn't be doing. We just had a lack of offense. I feel like if – the way Steph has built this organization, you have you have to give him another shot. And I feel like last year, like we won the championship in 2022. Last year, statistically, we had one of the best starting fives in basketball, but we also had one of the worst benches in basketball, which was kind of like the tale of two different halves. And we kind of blown it last year. And now the season that just passed, we were just dreadful. I do think you're in a position where you have to give it all and build around Steph just one more time. If you're able to do it, you should do it. If you have an opportunity to do it, you do it. Because I don't think we have any insane young talent outside of Kuminga. And you guys barely even play the young guys like Moody. I mean, you played Brandon this year. You gave him a leash. I've never seen you give a young player in my life, which, all right, cool. Trace Davis started to get it going. But other than that, we don't really have these young, refined, talented players like OKC has or Houston have. We kind of have like young players that look like role players. So I think you have to build around Steph just because what he's shown you in the beginning of the year, what he's shown you last year is he still has a lot left in the tank. Even Draymond, when he's on the court, he's shown you defensively, he's still one of the best defensive players in the league. So for me, I think you give it another year or two, try to figure this thing out.
You mentioned the young guys, and I want to talk to you about that in general. So, let's start with Kuminga. What do you think? What do you think of him? What do you think of him as a player? What do you think? Not just long-term potential, but like where he is right now going into next year.
So he's a tricky guy, right? He didn't play much his first year. Last year, you kind of saw a lot of the raw talent, but you saw a lot of times the IQ was a little bit behind, the handles was a little bit behind, the jumper wasn't there. Then this year, right, he comes in. And you can see improvements. You can see him as a finisher, him in that little mid-range post area. He got the little turnaround. Defensively, he's there, but the IQ was still a little behind. He started complaining to the media about Steve Kerr, then got on the court, started putting up buckets, right? I think going into the next season, you have to kind of see the IQ just improve. For me, Kuminga, it's all about IQ. He just makes a lot of boneheaded decisions, and he's still really, really young. Like he's a lot younger than these young talented players. he's the trickiest one because he's probably the guy you have to move to get another player because he's the most intriguing prospect we have. But I've seen the workouts. He looks cool. And I'm gonna fall in love with the off-season workouts, of course. But for me, it's just getting that jumper refined. Defensively, just being more aware, being more on cue. The IQ has to be there because when it was him, Wiggins, and Draymond out there defensively, oh, they were amazing. But that's the thing. When Draymond's not out there, Kuminga, you kind of have to be that guy. You're taking on the tougher challenges on the perimeter. So I'm expecting the IQ to improve, the jumper to continue to improve.
You mentioned if they were to make a trade, like a substantial one, not like we're going to add a new ninth man or something, Kuminga is going to probably have to be the guy that goes there. Let me ask a reverse. Let's say they don't do that.
Right.
Can Kuminga get good enough in one off season to be what Jordan Poole was for the Warriors 2 years ago? I know they're not the same position, same style, but Jordan Poole was that added score, the added punch to the core that kind of put him over the top. I think his 2022 playoffs get slept on a little bit because he didn't close every game, but the dude scored more than Wiggins in the playoffs. He was their second scorer half the nights in the playoffs. I mean, 32, 9, and 8 in that game one against Memphis. Anyway, enough Jordan Poole nostalgia. My question for you on Kuminga is, can he be that impact guy? Like we talk about trading. Can he be that impact guy so you don't have to make a trade next year?
I think the unfortunate part is I think he can be an impact player, but I think with the way our team is built now, if he just becomes Jordan Poole, that's not good enough. I think with Jordan Poole, when we had the 2022 team, we had Steph. Like remember that year, before Clay came back, we went on like what was we like
26?
Yeah, 28. We were destroying the league to start this year off. Like we had Steph, we had Dre, Wiggins was hooping, Poole's off the bench. We had the role players chipping in. Then Clay came back, he was doing his thing. I think that team was much better now as opposed to Clay's a lot older. He's got mileage on the legs. And now we need, Wiggins has like seemingly lost his jumper, I guess. I think we need him to be a lot more than that. And unfortunately, I don't know if he can be that right now. I think he can be a Jordan Poole level impact player, but I think we're unfortunately expecting him to be more. And I don't think he can be that for us right now.
All right. That poses the question that I think is the most interesting. What level of impact player does this team need for you to feel confident that they're in the mix? I'm not saying title favorites. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying not in the play-in. Like they're kind of like what Kyrie was for Dallas. Right. Like without Kyrie, Dallas was a 500 team. He was that number 2 scoring punch, and then everything made sense, and obviously made a run to the finals.
Oh, that's so we made the play-in, right? And sure. we had opportunities to get out the play-in multiple times this year. We definitely could have did some things right. Then we got destroyed by Sacramento. If you look at the West, I mean, everybody has another dude that can go create. So I guess we need a number 2. Like we just need a number 2 that when Steph is off the floor, he can continue the flow of the offense. He can create for himself, create for others. We just need. And Clay has always been a number 2 for us, even before Kevin Durant. But he's not a signature number 2 as where you give him the ball, he can go create for others and really create for himself. He's kind of always in the system type of number 2. We need a guy like that can just go get a bucket at will and create for others. Somebody that can really take the offensive weight off Steph.
Yeah. So the real question is, like, do they need someone along the lines of what they had in Jordan Poole? Or do they need to add like a true superstar to be that guy? Because, like, look, obviously, the better the player they add, the better their chances are. I'm just trying to figure out where the line is. Like, how big of a piece do we need to add to get this team from? They won 46 games this year. Let's assume they're probably about the same if they run it back next year, maybe 44, 45 wins. Who's going to be that level of what is a level of player that gets this team to 50? 52 wins, avoiding the play-in and being in the mix?
Oh, that's a tough question because, Memphis is coming back. We don't know how Houston's going to look. But just thinking about it like that, I truly believe a player like probably like Brandon Ingram would be dope. somebody that can play make, somebody that can score in the mid-range, can hit the three ball when he takes it, it can get to the rim. Somebody like Lauri Markkanen is a dope name that I keep hearing around. He's on a cheap deal, $18 million a year for the next 2 years. A guy that can play off ball, on ball. Even a player like, a little smaller player like Mikal Bridges, he's just a hyper extended Andrew Wiggins. He would be dope for us because he can defend at a high level. He can hit the open three ball. But there's not many guys out there. Like, I've been seeing some pipe dreams like Paul George, but Paul George, it will require us to do a whole lot in the cap department. But, of course, he would be a dope guy. But realistic situations, I would say like Brandon Ingram, Mikal Bridges, Lauri Markkanen, like along those names, I think can get us. Not, like you mentioned, not obviously like the favorites, but if you can just give Steph and Dre a chance in the playoffs, that's all we ask from this organization.
Would you be willing to give up Kuminga for Ingram or Lowry? Lowry 100% would require it. I'm not sure what the Ingram trade market is because he's on a more expensive deal. He just had the bad playoffs. There's different questions, but let's just go with the hypothetical. Would you be willing to give up Kuminga for Brandon Ingram?
Damn, that's so tough. I would say Lauri, yes. I can say Lauri 100% yes. Yeah, I would give up Kuminga for Lauri. He's young. I mean, they're both relatively young, but he's a young, improving player. He can play on ball, off ball. I think he would fit pretty seamlessly in our system. He can hit the three ball, and he's pretty consistent. With Ingram, he's also healthier than Ingram. Ingram, like you mentioned, his stock is kind of in the mud right now. He had a pretty bad playoffs coming off a bad injury. We may not require, Kuminga to give up Kuminga to go get him, especially with the Pelicans having so many wings. Why would you want to bring in another wing? What if we have to give up pods in that deal? I wouldn't hate that idea at all. I really wouldn't, if we can keep Kuminga, but I think for Markkanen, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you. Lowry's he's just a safer bet in every way. By the way, they're the exact same age. I didn't realize that. They're both 26. They'll be 27 next season, which, like, honestly, that's the type of player you want to add to the Warriors. Someone who's in their mid to late 20s, like young enough legs, but not 21. Still
exactly.
Figuring out at the same time.
26, 27 is beautiful. Like, that's perfect because if Steph does retire, you're like 29, 30, and you can still Lauri is still going to be amazing at 30.
Right. Yeah. They can quote unquote carry the torch as you figure out what your team looks like moving forward in the post Steph era.
Yeah. Whatever that looks like. Jesus, we just.
Yeah. I'm not ready to go there. All right, guys. I want to tell you about Factor. Warmer, sunnier days are calling. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in the summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy a nutritious, great tasting meal. With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. All right, guys, very easy. Just head to factormeals.com/lightyears50 and use the code lightyears50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code lightyears50 at factormeals.com/lightyears50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off the next month while your subscription is active. And I can say this because I am a subscriber to Factor, lifesaver, and it is really fucking delicious. I also want to tell you guys about our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while your favorite sports and players play. You just pick on more or less than 2 or more player stats and a shot to win up to 100x your cash. Playoffs. It's playoffs time, guys. Look, the Warriors aren't playing in the playoffs, so I got to make it interesting. Been playing some player props. Been betting the unders on Kyrie. Been coming away a big winner. Not as big a winner as betting against Harden has been for me, but still pretty big winner. So, it's been good. It's a good way to keep myself engaged while watching these games. It looks like the Celtics might be making quick work of the Dallas Mavericks, but you never know. So, with that said, download the app today. Use the code LIGHTYEARS for your first deposit match up to $100. That's right. Download the app, promo code LIGHTYEARS, $100 match on your first deposit.
I have factors in my my fridge right now. 3 of them.
Nice. Dude, they're lifesavers, right?
Yeah, they're actually really good. I think they sent us 10 individually. I killed like 7 of them in like a week. I was like, nah, these are really good.
No, I love when we get sponsors on the pod that are actually like, oh, this is actually a legit product that I want to use over and over again. So
Yeah,
I'm all about Factor.
Yeah, we had this one. I forgot what it was. It was this energy drink. I did not like it. I'll be honest, did not like it at all. But
are you an energy drink guy in general?
No, I'm really not. That's why I was kind of making me mad. I was just like, I don't really like this at all. But the guys were shitting on me because it's like, bro, it's just drinking. And I'm like, well, if I don't like something, I'm obviously not going to want to drink it. But
I'm with you. I'm pretty anti-energy drinks. Like not morally opposed. It's just like they make me feel jittery. I don't. Yeah. It's not my cup of tea in general. Tea, on the other hand, I do like.
Do you drink coffee?
Yeah.
I don't drink coffee.
Oh, okay, so you pretty much avoid caffeine then, huh?
Yeah, I'm not a big caffeine guy. I don't drink coffee, nothing like that. Not even the little whatever the other side, the frozen or iced coffees.
Yeah.
I don't drink those either.
The funny thing is, like in general, coffee has less caffeine in it. At least my experience is it makes me way less jittery. But like if I get like a Red Bull or a Monster Energy, I don't even know if this exists, but like those type of energy drinks, I always like. I don't like how I feel.
Much.
So I don't know. Theoretically, they have the same amount of caffeine based on like what the back of the cup says, but it doesn't feel the same to me.
Yeah, Red Bull's insane.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's get back on the Warriors here. You mentioned Pod's name. What'd you think of him during his rookie year? Because like I feel like in general, I'm just trying to do a stock check on where people are with the Warriors young players.
What have you heard from him? What's the vibes going on in Warriors Nation about him?
Well, it depends. You mean around the team or you mean around the fans in general?
The fans, like, what do they think of Pods? Like, what have you seen so far?
I think he surprised everyone being able to play just because, look, no rookie gets into Steve Kerr's rotation.
That's why I was surprised.
And then, like, he's kind of irritating too. Like, I get why he play. I mean, it's part of his role in a team, like taking charges, trying to get under people's skin. I think it's generally positive, but I'm still not really 100% sure what I think of him long-term as a player. I think he's going to stick in the NBA for a long time, and I think that's a win at number 19. Like, they got themselves a rotation player. I'm not 100% convinced on what the upside is at this point, even though when he hits shots, I start like imagining Steve Nash in my head and just lying to myself, So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Pod?
Steve Nash is such a funny ass, just far to the end moon thing.
Yeah, I see one pass in transition and one pull up three, and I'm like, that's it, Steve Nash, we're good.
Pods, he's definitely irritating. He definitely got more irritating the longer his leash got because he started doing things that just didn't make sense as a rookie, like starting taking some wild shots, kind of like how Jordan Poole used to take his little wild shots, but he was kind of giving the keys like, all right, we know this is you. It's interesting because we just had Dante DiVincenzo last year. And I loved Dante. Like, I loved the energy he brought, the defense he brought, the shooting he brought. Unfortunately, he got played off the floor in the playoffs. Went to New York. Shout out to him. He's doing his thing in New York. I kind of imagine him being what he is in New York for for us. Like, I think that's around Pod's role. But he does so many things. He can rebound, he can defend at times, he can pass, he can shoot at times, he can get to the rim. It's tough because I don't know what he looks like next to Steph. Like, I don't know how that role is because they're just so small as a backcourt. and he doesn't provide the insane spacing. So, and sometimes, there's times where he doesn't look up, his eyes aren't there. There's times where he does get caught sleeping. But I think if I had to imagine him in the role, it's definitely along the lines of what Dante DiVincenzo is for the
Sure.
Knicks now, or like even, in a little reducer role, what Malik Monk is for the Kings. I think that would be the role for Pods for me. I think he's the perfect role player in a good scenario.
And I think that's why, like, he can shoot the ball. Like, he did shoot 39% from three, but he doesn't really shoot the ball. Like, if you watch the game, shooting's always the last option when he gets the ball. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's looking to make a pass. The pass isn't there. He's driving into the lane. If that's not there, okay, I'll take the shot. And he
Mm-hmm.
needs to get way better at shooting, in my opinion, for him to like truly hit his upside on the Warriors. Because I agree with you. Like, teams don't guard him like he's Jordan Poole, even though he shot a higher percentage than Jordan Poole. Like, we all know if you leave Jordan Poole open, he's taking the shot.
Yes.
And if you leave
Easily.
him open, he's probably going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually the bad shots which bring down his percentage.
Yeah, he's a character.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think, you know what my theory is? I
Here we
think
go.
the reason Steve played Pods so much is because he demonstratively gives a shit. And they're dealing with like Wiggins. I don't know what was going on with him in the beginning part of the season.
Man.
Some people were speculating he wasn't over the rib injury. The team kind of said he wasn't in the best shape, but he definitely like wasn't playing particularly hard early on. Kuminga has had his own issues in terms of like using his athleticism to the full of his ability. And then like other guys on the team are just old. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Like, Chris Paul can play as hard as he wants, but he's not moving that fast.
Dude, it's insane. Why did we go get him? I don't know.
And so it's just like I think just having a guy who's willing to like put his body out there and get the energy going was probably a big part of it. And the second part is he got the system really quick. Like, he's a very smart player. He understood like pass or move the ball within half a second. And honestly, he did play well next to Steph. Like, teams started picking on him defensively at the end of the year, but I'm not willing to rule out the possibility the two of them can play together defensively. They just need to figure out the front court behind it better.
Yeah, it's like Kerr put him in such insane positions. Like, we were running Chris Paul, Steph, and Pods lineups at one point. It's like, dude, what is this going to do for us?
Yeah. And I mean, that's the other thing. It's like, do you think that in the offseason, offense or defense is a bigger need for this team?
Damn. That's actually a funny question. Because I feel like they're like,
yeah, I mean, it's a trick question. I was like, they need a player who can fucking do both. But yes,
if Draymond is out there, I am comfortable with whatever players we put out there. I would say that I'm very comfortable. He can hold it down. I think offense is the issue because we will hit a point in the season like we did last year. Shit, probably even the year before, even against the Lakers, where Steph just gassed out. Like, he's getting old. He's gonna be like 37, 38. We're going to hit a point in the season where Steph is gassed out again because, one, we don't let him run, one-on-one isolation, pick and rolls like that. He's still running off them screens at this old age. That tires you out. So I would say offense first. We do need a little bit more juice in there. And then, defensively, if we can just get guys that have put the effort out there and that could rebound, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, and I mean, like, in general, just getting bigger. That's the other. That's the other aspect to it.
The small ball stuff is going to drive me insane. It's time, man. We got to go with the league, man. We're too small.
Yeah, I mean, like, of the names who are supposedly on the move this offseason, and I don't even know how real it is, but he hasn't signed an extension, and you keep hearing that Utah will listen to offers. Like, Lauri Markkanen is clearly the best option, unless someone out of the blue comes available, just because he is 7 feet tall. Mm-hmm. He is 26, turning 27. He's maybe a top 5 shooter in the league. Definitely best shooter in the league over 7 feet tall, unless you count KD as over 7 feet.
KD's probably one and then him.
Yeah, and I don't know, just he would address so many different things. You could play him next to Draymond and have a normal size front court. Yeah, I don't know. I the more I think about it, the more I'm like, if he is actually available, I'd be comfortable throwing everything at him. Like, throw multiple picks, throw Kuminga. You could throw Pods in there if they want him. Like, because it's very hard to find, as the Warriors are finding out, it's hard to find skilled players over 6'4", guys
Yeah.
you can like really run your offense through.
So let's play in this quick hypothetical world. Let's say we do give up, Wiggins to make the money work, Kuminga and Pods, right? We still have that Chris Paul money on the table.
Well, they wouldn't have to give up Wiggins. That's the thing, because Lowry only makes
Ooh.
18. In theory, they'd have to use GP2's contract, which is about $9 million. Kuminga is at 7, so that's 16 right there. Literally any of the young players you throw in, all of a sudden you've thrown in more money than Lowry makes next year. So not saying you'd have flexibility to do other. Wiggins puts him in a smaller role, makes it easier for him to play, or you move him for another player. It is like, it's better than, gambling on like Zach LaVine, who
I'm off that. I don't want that.
I like him as a player, but he does make a lot of money and it limits your options.
Yeah, getting him would have to, we won't have to probably give up too many picks and maybe not many young players, especially with Chicago. They have a ton of guards.
Right.
But just that money, $40 million on the books, like a year, is just something I'm not comfortable doing. I do think though, if we're able to keep Wiggins, that would be dope. And if the money, Lori, $18 million, that's pretty good. Would you be comfortable? Because I feel like the one guy that we're gonna talk about that's kind of like out the loop is Moses Moody, and he's a prototypical 6'6". Long arms. He can shoot.
You'd think he'd play more than he does.
Yeah, he can shoot when he's given the opportunity. He has shown strides as a defender. So it's like, do we move? We can move him in the deal instead of Pods, potentially keep Pods. Would they even take Moody? Like, what's going on with him, man?
I'd rather move Moody. Personally, I just think Pods is a better player. We know he fits the system. And also, you don't have to think about paying Pods for 3 more years because he just finished his rookie year, whereas Moody, sneakily up on an extension. With that said, which I'd be comfortable either way in said deal, and then just play the other guy a lot more. Like the one thing that, this type of deal does is you're trading 3 players for 1 player. So you open up minutes, like GP2's gone. Kuminga's gone. Those are minutes that Moses Moody could eat up that maybe he wasn't getting this year, right? So I think there's a lot of effects to them going that way. This all assumes he comes available, but that's my dream pick of the moment right now. So
I think Brandon Ingram is more likely to be available. I think he's probably
the GM told everyone to come get him.
Yeah, he's the guy, and I think it's just like it's weird to me because we have young players, but like we didn't play Kuminga for 2 years. We haven't played Moody, so they haven't even been able to up their trade value to really move them. So now we have to think about, and I think Trace is off the table. We cannot move Trace. We need a big. He has to stay. So it's really Pods, Kuminga, Moody.
I agree. One quick ad, and then I got one more question for you. Whether you're a world-class athlete or podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. Unified Healing is a new and innovative global network of wellness centers powered by the Energy Enhancement System, or the EES system. If you haven't heard of the EES system yet, you'll want to listen up. This is technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Whether you're here in the Bay Area or hundreds of other locations across the globe, access to the center is easy and affordable. Interested in experiencing the EES system technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/lightyears to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/lightyears. All right. Before we get you out of here, okay, we're recording this between game 2 and game 3. We just got the Kristaps news. Does that change the series for you at all?
First of all, what injury is that? I've never seen that in my life.
Fake injury. I don't know.
I remember him getting hurt. I thought it was the calf again.
I had a hard time. I'm not even going to try to read it out loud. That's how.
I was reading it, and they was like, it's so rare. It's day by day. I was like, all right. I saw this stat that said when Porzingis is playing, they're like crushing them by plus 21. But even when he's not playing in the game, they're still a positive. So they're still winning the non KP minutes. I do think Dallas gets one on the road regardless. I think just the road players are going to play better. I mean, they're going to play better at home. Luka's going to play. Kyrie's going to give you one game,
Mhm.
so that's going to be huge. But for them to win one of these games in Dallas, it's going to come down to the guy it's always come down to, and it's Jason Tatum. If he can give you a 30 to 35 burger with the same playmaking he's been doing, they continue to play defense. Then you all you need is one in Dallas. I reckon Porzingis will probably play Game 5. You finish it off in Boston and you call it a day. So I think Dallas takes tonight. I think Boston will take Game 4, and I think they'll finish it off in Game 5.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I mean that's how it looks like it's going right now. Boston's been really fucking impressive.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
give
so
them
pissed off they're gonna win, man.
that.
It's like I really hate that they're gonna win. They're back in the finals.
All right. So who in the West is going to be the biggest? Yeah, you're building for the Warriors. Are you most afraid of, like, is Dallas now the standard?
Hmm.
Is it still Denver, Minnesota, OKC? What team would you be most terrified of next year?
If I'm a Warriors fan,
Yeah.
well, if you look at this season,
Right now all of them's the answer, but
yeah, of course, yeah, definitely. I think if you look at the season, OKC, we blew what, 2 leads? Yeah, we blew 2 leads to OKC.
double
We were,
digits in the
yeah, we
third.
were pretty much beating them. Dallas, one of them, Steph didn't play. Denver, we blew 2 leads also. Minnesota just embarrassed us. I think Minnesota for us is the one team with just physically how tall they are, length is there. We
Mhm.
just cannot match up with them at all, 1 through 5, like with Gobert, Cat, and Jaden McDaniel. That's just a tough matchup for Steph. So I would say for us, Minnesota, and then that's pretty much it. I think OKC, we did a fine job if we didn't choke, and I think Denver's also another one because we just have no answer for the Joker. So I would go Denver and Minnesota.
My answer is going to be OKC,
You think
but
so?
I'll give you my case right
Okay.
now. Denver, Jokic is Jokic, but if the Warriors actually build a good team and don't just run it back,
Mhm.
Steph is an issue for Jokic. He
Oh yeah,
just
yeah,
is.
yeah.
So it's a styles fight, but I like the Warriors' chances there. And I'm going to say the same for Minnesota. Like, Gobert can't handle switches. If the Warriors have enough size to not get overwhelmed by Minnesota, Steph's going to be a problem for Gobert.
I think also size, but if we don't get enough shooting,
Yeah,
Cat and
yeah,
Gobert will be able to help off Insane, and that's a
correct,
problem. So
correct.
we definitely need the shooting more than the size for that matchup.
That's why like Lowry's the ideal target because they can help off of him, and he just it's a 7-footer you can throw out there. You can put him with Trace out there and not be so small. You can do different things, but anyway, pie in the sky. OKC though, look, they're gonna sign another big. They have money. They might get Isaiah Hartenstein. That's
That
like the
would be
current
dope.
rumor going around. If they don't get him, I expect them to get someone who can help them. They also have a bunch of young guys who are only going to get better, and they can play playoff defense. Like
Yeah.
Lou Dort, Shea Gilgeous, Jalen Williams, Chet. Warriors can't pick on them. They can't get you can't get them in a switch, use Steph to drive an advantage. So I'm actually kind of terrified of what they look like if they nail their offseason, because I think they're sitting in the best position. But then again, we all said that a decade ago, and never happened for them.
I mean, if we got a lot to work to do. We don't have a lot of money to play with, but if we can
Yeah.
just do what we do and sign the right veterans and good players, I don't see why we can't get out the play-in. I don't think
Sure.
like we have the Clippers who are probably going to fall off. The Suns aren't, a lock. The Pelicans aren't a lock.
Probably the same as they were last year.
Yeah, there's an avenue where we can get a 6 seed. The Lakers don't have a head coach right now. So there's like an avenue. So we listen, man. What were we 3-4 games behind the 6 seed this last year? It was a
Yep.
dreadful year. So we can do it. We just have to, like you mentioned, the same thing with OKC. They nailed the offseason. We have to nail the offseason because we don't have many, errors in this. Like we have a small margin to really do anything. I don't know what happened.
Sorry about that.
We're back.
My tech messed up. I caught the end of that. I think that's like a sign from above that we should probably wrap up this chat. Appreciate you, man. Anything you want to plug on the way out?
Just Pick a Side Podcast on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Rivio with 5 O's on Twitter. That's pretty much it. Big Warriors guy. Happy to defend my guy Steph. Shout out to the Light Years Pod for having me. Can't wait to be on another moment. Can't wait to nail off season. That's it, man.
Let's go.